Caribbean content is growing, and we welcome you to be a part of the #1 platform for young personalities who are driven to make a positive impact in society. As we continue to reach every corner of Trinidad and Tobago through our daily broadcasts, our social media pages, or through our 75+ digital billboards across the nation, contact us to learn about our competitive rates via marketing at wesncc.com or call us at 628-5835. WESN Content Capital, television with a difference.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm not to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
of
not no.
Let's go to the last part.
This is 10 questions. I'm Andy Johnson. The distance from where we should be in the world in going forward and our commitments with climate change.
The effects of climate change that cannot be accounted for. It's called loss and damage, and we're seeing loss and damage happening so much more in this decade and the previous decade.
The principal term there was this question of the correspondent banking issues.
That is why we're trying to build capacity with this country here, Trinidad and Tobago, and other countries in the region.
Man is not showing any signs of stopping or even slowing down. More than half of the forest in Trinidad is already gone.
All the plants and all the animals and all of the nice clean water and fresh air and everything had to be on this planet for humanity to have a chance.
We have small change when it comes to countries that can take decisions, and when they speak, the world listens.
The General Assembly is a very democratic forum. And Trinidad and Tobago has the same vote as Canada, in spite of the obvious difference in size.
Pastor J, I want to get a tattoo.
You really
respond to me. Respond to me how you would respond to me.
The first question I'll ask is why?
Controversial taboo topics.
We get so consumed by church, we forget that we have to live the life of being a Christian outside of the Sunday.
Like you say,
services.
we think going to a service makes us a Christian.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. So here we are about to hear the second time Pastor J wanted to take a tattoo.
Would have been late last year and early this year.
Oh gosh.
Hope Unfiltered podcast with Pastor J and Ren.
Money is something we all deal with, but how many of us truly understand it? What if you could make better decisions with your money? Decisions that secure your future, protect your family, and bring you peace of mind. I'm Darren Jacobs, and I'm here to help you make sense of your dollars. Welcome to Dollars and Cents, the show that breaks down the financial world in ways that matter to you. No jargon, no confusion, just real conversations about money, your money. So join me every Wednesday at 10 a.m. on WESN for Dollars and Cents.
WESN.
Hello, Trinidad and Tobago. My name is Mark Anthony Peter, and welcome to Breakthrough, right here on WESN Content Capital. I am here with my co-host, as per usual, Sean Michael Small. Good morning, Sean.
Well, as per sometimes.
As per sometimes.
It's good to be back.
Okay, great.
In studio.
In studio.
I could antagonize him in real time and in person.
And in person. It's no longer visual.
Actually, we look very virtual right now in presentation.
Yes, because I love this.
Shout out to our boy and his talent, making us look far better than we actually do in real life.
For sure, all of the time. But we do have a packed show today.
Yes, we do. Right. Yeah. No time for the usual banter. Right?
No, I know you all enjoy it, but I don't have it. Sadly, I don't have anything for my TikTok this time.
I can remind you of your need for therapy some other day.
Yes, absolutely. But I don't know how to segue from that, but okay, no problem.
Well, art is a way to either let loose with your emotions or to get in touch with your own emotions by interpreting someone else's vision through the lens of your own experiences.
That was actually really good. Big up you.
Yeah. One would think, maybe I kind of talk for a living, Sometimes a few smart things come out every now and then.
Every
off the cusp. No, that was not planned, by the way. That was literally off the cusp, right? That was full used car salesman mode. I was just fishing for a thing.
But no, I love that.
It's a personal thing.
Exactly. And the reason it's pertinent because we have joining us in studio a visual artist who is having an exhibition this week, and it's going to be amazing. We're actually going to stop by and check it out. And a couple other accomplishments that have happened along the way. So please welcome to the Breakthrough table, visual artist Sejal Bascom. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing really well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And I got the pronunciation of the name right.
Sejal.
Great. Lovely. So before we get into the exhibition, I want to get into you as a visual artist first. First of all, how did you get started into visual art? And what would you describe your style as?
Okay, so how did I get started? I will say definitely that, God really, I guess, imparted this creative gift into me that, really grateful for that. Because since I was maybe around 3, because I remember in preschool really being into art. And you might say, oh, how you remember preschool? I actually got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was in preschool. So my brain remembers a whole set of memories from that time. And I remember being in the hospital and wanting paper and colored books and stuff to get into it. And I used to do this rainbow heart too, and my preschool teachers would tell everybody to come and see and for me to teach them how to do the rainbow heart and all of these things. And so my love for it continued into primary school. I started to do art classes with artists by the name of Tessa Alexander when I was in Standard 4, and that continued until I was in about Form 3, Form 2 in high school. And then I had an amazing art teacher in high school, Lisa Hutchinson, and she kind of nurtured the, artistic ability some more. And I would say my art style really developed a lot when I was in Form 3. So prior to that, it was a lot of experimentation and kind of finding myself, figuring out what I like, and just testing the waters of various mediums and stuff like that. And then when I was in Form 3, Ms. Hutchison gave us this exercise, and we had to do various things, like a piece on balance, a piece on pattern, a piece on cubism, and all of these various things. And when I did the pattern piece, I was like, oh my goodness, I love this, right? So when it came time to do the SBs, now my pieces were very pattern-based, and I explored different things like lost and found line, color, balance. I love balance. And that grew. And then when I went to university, I started to look at shallow depth and something I used to call honest illusion. And when I was post-university, I went into things like, further study into shallow depth, colors and objects, instead of just being applied to objects, and blurring the lines between positive and negative space. And now I'm kind of on this journey of finding my way back in order to move forward. And I'm kind of looking at my artwork throughout the years to see what I want to revisit and the parts of me that I want to revisit as well in order to kind of, move forward.
Okay. Well, it's interesting you say you kind of found yourself or started to find yourself in Form 3, because most mortals, we find ourselves when we go to tertiary education, and then there are those like me that don't really find themselves once they like hit 32 or something, right? But part of what we have here that was sent to us, you're not just necessarily a visual artist extraordinaire, you also are very good, at least up to your education level, in math. So you're not necessarily just a creative brain, you also have some capacity for logic and numbers as well?
Oh yeah, so I did a lot of science in high school, and I loved physics. And I guess, the love of physics and math kind of plays into maybe why I like patterns so much and balance. And I was talking to a bunch of people, right? But basically what I tend to kind of say is that if you kind of think about it, art is math, right? Because let's say red is 5 and blue is 2 and purple is 7, right? Red plus blue equals purple. Right. And yeah, but like a lot more,
right. So
detail into that way.
It's almost like if the same parts of your brain that understands math in a way, that's the lens by which you also kind of see art as well, given your what you like about it and how you just explained it, that it kind of is describing an understanding of it.
Right, so I think that, okay, in a way, each color has like its own personality, right? And it's always that same personality. And I feel like numbers and equations and stuff like that, you could put certain colors together to get various results in a very mathematical way, because if you put those same 2 colors together again, you will get that same result, Right. Even if you put them next to each other, and what kind of vibrations does that give off, you know what I mean? So yeah, and also, in terms of my approach to art, I think I have a very scientific approach, because I tend to have a question in my mind, and I kind of use art to solve that question, or art to kind of like figure out the answer to that question. So like most of the times, I don't know the answer before I'm going into it,
Right. Do you think that sort of scientific approach translates to not just answering the question, but how the process by which the art?
Definitely. Well, for one, I tend to paint very quickly, and the reason for painting quickly is because I'm excited to get to the next step. Yeah. So it's like when you do, say you do the first step, when you do the second step now, and you get that result, that answer, your mind is kind of anxious to get to like, okay, what's the next answer? But a painting doesn't really work like that. You have to finish the whole entire, that second step to be able to go to the third step or the third layer, and then kind of just seeing what happens as each layer kind of like progresses. And why I said at first that I think that God really, gave me the creativity is because all of my paintings, I would say all of my art pieces, drawings, whatever, textile, I never know what the final product is going to look like, yeah? So when I finish the piece, a lot of the time it's like, I didn't make the piece, so I'm looking at my own pieces as though I'm the viewer, I'm the audience. So it's like, and then someone told me that in my last show, someone told me that I even talk about my work as though I didn't create it, because I'll be like, oh, in this painting, this is here, instead of saying, oh, in my painting, I tried to do I describe it as though I'm looking at it from like a third person kind of perspective. And it's interesting because that's actually true. I do kind of shocked and surprised by the pieces themselves when they're completed.
Sorry, I just need to point out, I don't think I've ever heard any artist in any medium give one explanation of what you just gave, much less 2, right? Which speaks to just a very unique process and eye that I'm kind of like half blown away, because I'm almost like there's something here that's very unique and very different and very special and allows for such a different perspective, and yet like I don't even know how to express it, and I'm just like, oh, that's just cool.
Well, speaking, but as you mentioned that you're not always sure you're not always clearly sure, but do you have an idea of what you might want it to look like from the very, very beginning?
No, it's more like I start off with the question. I start off with like a broad, general, okay, I'm going to start with this line here, or like this object here, and then it kind of goes from there.
Okay. All right. Now, you mentioned that you had a last exhibition, so this is not your first exhibition that you're having this week.
Oh, no.
Okay, so you've had exhibitions before.
Well, 2 solos,
okay.
yes, and I did a few group shows.
All right. If we could just pull up the flyer for the exhibition as we talk about it, but what are you hoping for this exhibition? Finding My Way Back. Now, this makes sense, the expedition, right? Finding My Way Back, right? Happening at the Art Society of Trinidad and Tobago from the 5th to the 9th of August. 5 p.m., 8:30 p.m., and then there's a speech at 6:30 p.m. Those are the opening hours. You could check out the number for more information. You could also follow her on her social media. But what are you hoping for? What is the question that you're answering for this exhibition?
Okay, so I always like to say that, you know, an artist's job is to observe, interpret, and then put that interpretation out to other people, so they too can like maybe focus on something that they weren't particularly focusing on before, right? So for instance, with like my previous show when I was doing colors object, in our universe, colors apply to objects, it's not the object itself. So like it kind of opens up your mind to look at something in a new way.
No, it's just, here comes a painter using a physics explanation with how the visual spectrum works, and then how that affects her interpretation of her painting medium, right? Like the meta levels are just beyond right now. No, it's true. It's like she's metagaming the metagame of painting, and I don't know what else to say. I just, like, my brain cannot find the words. I am more like intrinsically feeling connections with what you're saying than actually understanding what you're saying.
No, but it is true. Like a lot of creatives do have a sort of science background and a sort of science brain. Right, myself included. I did all sciences for CSEC and for CAPE as well, but I'm a musician. Right, so I recognize certain things, and there's even part of history we had to learn about Pythagoras and all of those things and frequencies and stuff like that. But yes,
you don't sound like that when you speak about art.
Because why am I talking? Why am I talking to you about it?
I want to get to the actual some of the stuff that you sent us there to show off, right?
Right. So if we could just pull up some of her work really quickly, and we could talk about it. So
this is the big one.
So this is a really gorgeous mural. Can you tell us about it?
Wait. First of all, where is this? So people.
So this is actually on board the Star of the Seas, one of Royal Caribbean's new cruise ship in the Icon class. I applied for their artist discovery program, and they had around 270 applicants, and they chose 4 of us from the Caribbean to do murals around. Thank you. To do murals around the boat. So this piece is on the Suite Sun Deck lobby on the 18th floor, and yeah, very honored to have been able to do this, and it was a really unique experience because, first of all, this is the biggest piece I've ever done and the biggest mural. I did a small mural before.
Just so people understand, that is floor to ceiling. That's not just like a slightly wide canvas, right? So this is a hallway, a common area, a lobby.
Yeah, the lobby. So like when the doors open from the outside, this is what you see.
Right, yeah, that's huge. And that brought with it a unique challenge you never experienced before.
Yes, so for instance, normally if I'm to draw something on a piece of canvas, okay, so I did a painting before and I did this mural based off of that painting, right? So I was working from a previous idea. And just what you had to apply with a proposal anyway. So normally when I do work on a piece of canvas, I could eyeball it. Like if I'm drawing a laptop, I could eyeball it, average, and draw it, right? So I was like, oh yeah, well, I'll just eyeball it to put the mural on the wall. you cannot eyeball a wall. Like, it's too big. You can't do it, right? It's impossible.
Correct. Because explain to people, when you're within reach of the wall to paint.
So when you're drawing, like let's say I'm drawing the head of the bird or a wing or something like that, and I do this, when you stand back, it looks completely different to what, because this is the range that you can see. And so,
the bird is bigger than you.
yeah, exactly. So I tried my best. I eyeballed, I drew, and then I was like, this is not working. And I took my boyfriend and my sister with me as my assistants to help me paint the piece. So my boyfriend was like, okay, now we have to try something else. I was like, let's do a grid system. But now we're working in the night, right? No one is there on the ship a week. We have no measuring tape. So we're looking all over the boat for measuring tape, no measuring tape. So you know what we had to use? An iPhone charging cable and a credit card to map out a grid.
Yeah.
And then he used that to kind of like use the picture of it on the laptop to map that onto the wall. So long story short, it took us about like 4 days to map that.
Just to kind of pre-plan it.
That is so that process alone. But again, when you're in a precarious situation, artists, we have to make it work, right? So if we need to use a charging cable and a credit card, you gotta use it.
I guess this leads to your logic skills and I guess reasoning and deduction and scientific skills, right? It's like you're not just trapped to freeness in the moment. You, if necessary, you will figure out a way.
Yeah. And I had a great team behind me as well. Like they supported me a lot.
I mean, just the scope of it is impressive.
Now, so you started off in school, right? And obviously, as your career grows and your success grows, it's going to be wonderful, and we will be looking out for it. But what would you say to some younger artists, young up-and-coming artists, who are trying their thing? They're still in that awkward phase of they're not sure what they want to do, or at least they're not sure if they want to pursue the art, or they're not sure if they're in the art, what field to go in, what lane to go in, what genre to go into. What's sort of any advice or some of your lessons learned throughout your career that you can impart to some young artists?
I would say for sure, stay true to you and your style. Don't feel like because your work is not looking like this person's work means that your work is not valid. One of the major compliments that I get is that my work is unique. Like no one has seen anything like it before, and so that's an encouragement to you to, even if your work is unique, like that's good. That's your, that's your strong suit. So stick to it. 2, consistency is key. Not every day. Not every day it might seem like, oh, this art thing is working out, but the next day, it might work out. I didn't know I was going to do a mural on, Yeah, and then, so in terms of like what genre to go into or what area to go into, I feel like on a deep level we know, but we might be afraid. Or we might think that, oh, this is really what I want to do, but would anybody like it? Don't study if anybody would like it. Like, there's 7 billion people on it. You would find your niche, you know what I mean? And don't really take on, like, any naysayers. Like, I have people tell me, oh, your work is decorative, or, like, kind of like little underhanded comments. But it's like, okay, like, that's your opinion. Still stay true to you. Don't change what you're doing or what you're making to please anybody. And last but not least, like, lean on God. Tell God what you want to do. Be like, God, I really want to have my first exhibition at this age. And He could make a way for you. That's what I do. Like, I'd be like, God, I want to have an exhibition. This funny story, right? So I was like in high school, and I was like, God, I want to show my first piece before I turned 20. And He set it up where my first piece that I ever showed was in London. Wow. You see? Like, God is be like...
Before 20?
Before 20. God is like, He's giving you more than you could even imagine. Yeah.
I mean, that phone cable that you have there, it seems to be highly connected. Just saying,
Absolutely.
It's painting murals. It's sending requests and getting answers. I mean,
for sure. Now, final question, because we do have to wrap up. What do you hope for yourself in the future?
So for myself, I feel like, so this is the first year that I've taken on being a full-time artist, like not doing anything on the side, not teaching or anything like that. And it was a bit of a scary jump, but it was something that I knew that I wanted to do for a while, and something that was placed on my heart for a while. And I just kind of like stepped out in that obedience, and I'm seeing doors opening. So I guess for me, for the future, I'm excited to see what other doors open as well. I'm excited to see where my art journey kind of takes me, because I feel like I'm now at the beginning of that whole finding my way back series, and not to stay back, but like to move forward. So I'm excited to see what that forward movement, where that forward movement takes me in terms of what other questions will come to mind that I want to answer, you know, like what other scientific experiments I can do with the
what other metaphysical
connections you are in your 20s, right? And you're sounding like a film director in his 50s, like, yeah, I'm finding my way back to where I started. And I'm just like, can you slow down? You know, the rest of us move on a normal pace here. Right? Although, you see, you need to commit. You need to be confident. Stuff. Mark is actually in a very similar transition phase. Although, unfortunately, we can't say his first concert was in London, so we can't say that. So his first solo piece was not in London, but he knows exactly what you.
So.
Wow.
There you go. There you go.
My first concert was at 16. I was bossing around people that were like twice my age.
I will say we both kind of meet a much less direct comparative way what you're speaking about. So yes, kudos to you and to your success, and I hope to hear more things.
Of course, and you'll be back on the show to tell us more about all of your more things that are about to come. If we could just pull up the flyer one more time just before we head out. Finding My Way Back, a collection of Sejal's artworks from childhood to present day, opening night and artist speech, 5th of August, 5 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. and then these speeches at
Tuesday
6. And then yes, that's...
And Wednesday to Friday, 12 noon, I see there, to 6 p.m.
to 6 p.m. And Saturday 12 noon to 4 p.m. And she has her number there, 622-9827. This is how we support our artists. This is how our artists grow, when we go see their work and when we purchase their work as well. Please, thank you very much.
Also, just to discover local culture, discover local art.
Correct, that's right. Sejal, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, and thank you for having me, and thanks for having this program where you'll, really pay close attention to the culture and give the arts a space. You know,
we try. This is all bar-sided. I take no credit.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much. I mean, funny story, before I started this, we've been doing this show just over a year, and I remember saying, oh God, I think I'm ready for a TV show. And then 2 weeks later, it happened. Wow. So, these are the things that happen when you really put your faith and trust in
you have a direct line too. Where's my direct line?
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this has been our first segment. This is Breakthrough. We will be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Radiographer at the radiology departments at the community hospital. We offer high-quality service with state-of-the-art equipment in X-ray, ultrasound, CT, and mammogram. Come, our friendly staff awaits you.
Give us a call at 235-5479.
The Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist,
where good private health care is affordable.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, The Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
You are watching Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Just give an overview of what exactly is that split arrangement.
You don't need to register nothing. We can do that another time. But then it becomes a hit, and then everybody starts to want to claim.
The laws that predate many of the independent countries' constitutions are going to be those colonial laws.
We know there are an infinite amount of circumstances that would lead to a murder.
I have a great idea and I have a great concept, but until it's actually expressed, it does not become intellectual property.
Accomplishments or targets of a forensic accountant is to quantify what may have been lost.
We believe we defend criminals and we manipulated the law and we exploited the system.
A responsible journalist will reach out to the person who they have the information on for a comment.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
Welcome back to Tobago to Breakthrough. Mark Anthony Peter, Sean Michael Small. We just had, and we have an interesting, this is a really, really nice show. We have an interesting segment for you all here. Joining us on set is author, and I would say first-time author, Crystal John. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And we are here talking about your first book,
Yes.
100 Pieces of the Heart. All right, and we have that image up there. Tell us about the book, and also I'm interested to find out, this is your first book.
Yes.
So like, why?
There's a lot of whys. First off, I did not set out to write this book. So it just, it came about after me always wanting to write a book. However, because of my love for food, I wanted to actually do a cookbook. Okay. So I started and stopped, and a lot of different things happened. And one day I was actually sitting with 2 really good friends of mine, and we were talking. One of them is a book author. And I was saying to him, I want to write a book, but I just don't know how. And my other friend said to me, well, Crystal, maybe just do short pieces because that's what you liked. And at that time, I was going through a lot of emotions in my life. And I started to write the short pieces because it was more of a release for me. And it just, and then I was encouraged to share 1 or 2 on Facebook, which I did, and then people just started reaching out to me saying, Crystal, I didn't know you went through this. I also went through something similar. And it opened up a really great atmosphere for me to be able to help people through my stories, and I just continued. I did not know I was going to write 100 pieces. It just happened, and and it flowed, and whatever came to me, I used to just scribble 3 o'clock in the morning on a bill, everything, and then go back and write these pieces. And one day it just hit me, 100 pieces of the heart. And that was it. And my goal was to do 100 pieces. And then I just compiled it into one book.
Wow, and that, first of all, that's an amazing story. And that's usually how it goes when you just start. You never know what it's going to end up being, but you just start and you have those 3 a.m. situations. or even in the midst of things, you don't have your pad or your phone or anything, so you just write on whatever is available. But I'm now seeing here that it says 100 pieces of the heart. What breaks us also builds us. These are the pieces in between. Is that sort of the journey that you sort of took with this and all of the lessons learned through life?
Yes. So I grew up in a very broken home where my dad was there, but in the same breath, the home was just troubled, right? Where a lot of individuals, they go through those experiences, and my takeaway from that is I won't change anything, because that is part of who I am, and that is what made me into the person that I am today, where I can sit here and share those stories and can also help persons, because in those brokenness is where you actually find yourself and find your journey, and it makes you stronger. So yes.
I mean, it's very interesting. I have never seen anything like this. I don't even think I know how to even begin to judge it, just perusing it. First of all, it is incredible that it's 100 different short stories. Each is on a very real emotional topic, and you're not buttering up anything. You're not cherry picking anything. It's very raw in the way how it kind of describes the emotions, the good and the bad, the good that comes with the bad. I think the second to last one especially had that. I can't remember the title. Forgive me, because it's 100. There's 100 small stories, but it almost feels like each one is kind of like the introduction and conclusion to some profound movie or novel in and of themselves, and you just kind of get the core message in a very straightforward way that you could just pick up the book, find the title, and cut straight to that. And it's kind of weird, because you would think, oh, well, it's just your experiences, but at the same time, it gives you just enough room to internalize it and think about it. And it's like, what about me? Is that
what you were hoped for the book in terms of those who read it?
Yes, so it is to be read from, although it's my experiences, it is supposed to be read from your lens. So you will find pieces that will resonate with you. So when you read it and you reread it, you are supposed to say, well, okay, you know what? I am going to take something positive, because it's all about positivity, right? My son, I have a 14-year-old son, and one of the things that I have found in the Caribbean, we don't speak about a lot of things that we went through in life as parents to our kids. So like my mother, yes, I knew some of the things she went through, but I really don't know a lot of her struggles, a lot of her wins. And for me, I want my son to pick this up when he's ready. Yes, read this, and also understand that I have been broken, I've loved, I've fallen, but I rose back up. And it is for him to also see that there is anything that can throw you down, it is a chance, right, for you to get up again.
Because I guess in a way, you not knowing, because I think this is true for my family as well. We don't know what the older generations went through, why they made certain decisions they made, and why we had these certain outcomes that we've had. And he could read this, and in your son's case, it's a more direct life lesson or life lessons. But even other people could read it, and it's not so specific. Yes, you kind of reveal bits and pieces of your life in various chapters, but it's not so specific to say, well, it's just a biography for the rest of us, and it's life lessons for him. It's not that hard. It doesn't take a lot of effort to kind of read it and I guess because of the style of how you wrote it, to kind of start to internalize it, right? And it's positive, but it's not sugarcoating.
No, it's honest. It's honest. And I think one of the hardest things for any child to transition from mommy and daddy to who they are as people, right? But there is a little bit of, if I may, just sort of read a little bit. There's a chapter called.
The chapter that caught his eye.
Of course.
What's the title?
Symphony of Touch, because symphony.
Of course.
All right, the intimate language of love. Now, this paragraph kind of stood out to me. In the ebb and flow of life, his positive energy becomes a lighthouse, guiding me through the storms with unwavering strength. It's a magnetic force that draws me closer, creating a sanctuary where worries dissipate and joy takes center stage. Now, anyone who has sort of been through any situation in life that has to do with love, and it doesn't just have to be romantic love, any sort of love, and also love of God. Right? This is the type of language that we can relate, right? Because in the storm, things don't always seem that it will sort itself out, right? What can you tell us about your journey in certain storms?
Well, I've had a lot of storms.
I mean, you could learn all about it in any book, because buy it. But just a little bit of what it has been like, sort of going through this song. Don't need any sort of details, but that,
One of the things I have learned and I stand by is anything, and I would have mentioned before, that would going through the storm. Now, by the way, it's funny that you chose that, because I am also on the path of getting my captain's license, right? And I like those, so I love being on the sea, right, which is something that is very dear to me, right? That's my happy place. I grew up around the sea. And when I find myself in those storms, that's my happy place. That is my sanctuary, so I would envelope myself, right, in the ocean. And for me, when I get to that place, it's almost as if the storm is no longer there. Right? So I see the positives, and after the storm, there's always a calm, there's always a rainbow, there's always that calming of the sea. So, and that's what I look for and look forward to in my life.
Okay. But there was something, because reading another part of that chapter, it came to me. One of the things I find is a common narrative is that modern younger people, right, they don't necessarily have realistic expectations of what relationships are. A lot of communication breakdowns because they're not speaking the same language, right? And of course, when the parents try to give them advice, 9 times out of 10, the parents are speaking a totally different language, right? And it's almost like if people don't know what's reasonable in relationships, at least too many. And it just came to me, here you are, it's through your lens. You're not necessarily telling people this is what relationships are, but you're saying this is what I went through, this is how I felt, and it's descriptive and it's expansive. So that it's almost like if it's two things. You're helping people put emotions in context because they could read and learn from your experiences. And then in a way, because I would advise potentially married couples, you could point to the book, right, and say, hey, this chapter and this chapter to help give you like a key in order to decode your emotions to each other, because it potentially gives you, if you don't know how to translate it into English language, it gives you the words, right, to try to translate those emotions, whether it's, I assume parents, child relationships, intimate partner relationships, and I think a lot of people, as you said, we kind of want to shelve things and not talk about it. I think part of it is because we don't know how. Yes. We don't know how to describe it.
And this is hopefully the starting point for us to start having these
conversations
with each other.
Rosetta Stone.
Now, I would have mentioned often you had a book launch a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
Now, how did it go? How was it?
It was one of the most amazing things that I've ever experienced. The outpouring of love and support. It was, I can't even explain the amount of people who showed up. Right, I have to say thanks to them. My book launch was not a regular book launch. It was a congregation. It was a start of a journey, and I would say it's more like a community where after the book launch, so we shared pieces. I had various persons would read a piece that speak to them, and then they shared what was their takeaway. What was very interesting was after the book launch, the entire area, everyone just started to share their own stories. And that is what I wanted. I remember just standing there and looking around, and people who did not have any communication with each other before, they just started to talk to each other, started to share, I went through this, and it just opened up that whole atmosphere, and that is what I want, that journey. It's more of a movement that I want people to be able to speak up, right? This is who I am. I remember I have a piece that I wrote on suicide, right? Now again, this came from a conversation I was having with my son, and we heard radio. They were talking about men's mental health, and I decided to share with him that my very first boyfriend, he's no longer with us, but he committed suicide. And obviously it was a very heavy topic for us to discuss, because you're talking about a 13-year-old boy, but it was funny again because of the way we communicated. Now my son and I, we have a very playful relationship at times, but I had to tell him because he joked about it after, but also understanding the seriousness of mental health and being able to open and speak to people. But I did it in such a way where I was able to tell him, well, listen, he had the same last name as I had, and his sister had the same exact name, Crystal John, right, as me, and I gave him all of, and he jokingly said, well, Mommy, you were with your brother, right? I'm going to tell everyone. Right.
Well, this is just
yes.
No, I totally get that.
So it was quite funny, but it was very serious, and then he came back a couple of days after, and we had that conversation. Now, granted, parents won't usually have those conversations, but it's a conversation I want to have with my son, because one, he's a young man, and there would be a lot of different things happening, and especially around men and their mental health as well. And we as women, we take it for granted.
Right. Now, you would have, as you're saying here, like people who write books, we always say they're storytellers, but it seems as though you're story sharing, right? And then it also allows other people to share their stories as well, and it builds this community. And I think that's one of the things that we tend to take for granted a lot of times is community, right? And you mentioned in the book launch, everybody just started sharing, right? So it felt like a movement, and it almost felt like a community was forming. What is your hope for people that read this book? Can they experience some level of healing? Can they experience some level of being at peace with themselves, being at peace with their relationships? What is the goal that you hope for people when they read this book?
Well, yes, it's supposed to render some level of healing, because, again, as I said, we go through things, and we go through things in isolation, not realizing that a lot of people share the same or very similar stories, and we beat up on ourselves a lot. So, yes, it is healing, and also for people to be able to open up and also share their stories to help one another. So that is my hope. It's not that we are just going through life and we feel that we are alone. We are not alone.
For sure, absolutely.
I want to go to a more fundamental question and just ask, are we, I can't speak for the rest of the world, but are we in Trinidad and Tobago too closed off emotionally? Because we allow a lot of things to go unsaid, right? And as you say, we share a lot of experiences, but we're not willing or able to share them with each other, right? And the parallel experiences are unknown. It's almost like if it's a secret, we dare not let it be out. For men, it's because we have to be men and we can't let the emotions out. And I technically don't ascribe to that while also being closed off and private. And at times, it's a very hypocritical. But I do wonder, is society just too closed off? And it's almost like, because on other shows on the network, we lament we lost the village to raise the community, to help keep the community together. And maybe that's why when we lost the village, we also lost our emotional connection.
Yes, I agree. And it is something that I have been having conversations around with my close friends. And I don't think it's only in Trinidad, I think it's in the Caribbean. Men, especially boys, they can't show emotions almost, because as parents, we tend to say, well, why are you crying? Are you a girl? And and we chastise. So they keep everything in, and they don't know how to share. So when you hear a man tell another man, "Hey, brother, I love you," it says, "Oh my God, what is this?" But we should be able to help each other express ourselves, right? Let us open up again, right, in society, because I think that's where we're losing. And we have a lot of crime that are happening, and it's because a lot of the young boys, when you speak to the young boys, they aren't loved when they gravitate to a gang. It's because that's where they feel love. Yes.
Yeah. But dare I ask though, because usually young men, we're starting to acknowledge that. What about the young ladies? Are they fine or?
No, because bullying it's something big. So I'll give you a story. I have always loved writing, and because of the school that I went to Mucurapo Junior and Senior Secondary. I remember one time I did an exam and I got 90-something%, and everybody else got under 30%, and I was looked down on, and I did not want to be bullied. So what I started to do, I started to dumb down my marks. Yeah. Right, yes. Yeah. So I actually hid sometimes to write. I would hide at your right, and then I'll throw it in the river, or in a,
that's quite, it's actually more common than you think, because this sort of bullying and this sort of looking down upon people, it's not gender specific, yes, right? And if anything, if you stand out in any way from the norm of what they consider the norm, it's going to be a thing. So, just as we wrap up though, first of all, it's been great having you on. Just as we wrap up, where can people find the book?
So right now it's on Amazon. My book is not in any bookstores just yet, because I'm carefully curating where I want to have it. Because again, my book is not supposed to be on any bookshelf, just regular bookshelf you go, right? It's supposed to be interactive. It's supposed to be, that community based. So I meet, and a lot of my sales so far has been people just seeing me, asking me, what is that? Having conversation and just organically buying that book. Right. So I wanted to be carefully curated, but it is going to be in a lot of the coffee shops, right? Yes. Yes. Right, and it is on Amazon right now. Other than this, there's also a journal that is called The Companion, which goes with the actual book, and that is supposed to be for the person after they read the book to share their stories. Yes.
Okay, this is great. So the community building and the story sharing continues.
Yes.
All the way. So this has been absolutely great to have you on.
Thank you.
I hope that we did a great job. Because I just feel like I'm just watching a TED Talk right now and I'm just getting inspired all of the time. Oh. So thank you so much. And I would say there is a chapter entitled TNT Carnival. Yeah. So I'm excited to read that one. Right?
And I'll just say, usually, I'm not the kind of person to easily read non-fiction books unless it's on a very specific set of topics that I enjoy reading. Mainly because they're not always easy to read, but this is very easy to read in terms of reading comprehension. Now the question is, are you going to have the courage to maybe face what you find reading the words and what it might reveal very, very simply, and again, it's a part of the reason why it's easy to read is it's in very easily digestible chapters. It doesn't take a lot of commitment to get to the main point of each chapter's point. It only just takes the willingness now to kind of internalize what you're reading and truly nourish your soul with it.
Yes, so
you'll have
read
me
it.
excited.
Read it.
I mean, you're the one that had a therapy session on national TV.
And yes, I had it on national TV. I told people, yes, I go to therapy. It's fine. We're all broken in some way, but we accept the help and we say it publicly. I shared my story about my trust issues.
I am not yet able to share myself with other people. You think I could share myself with my subconscious? I need to sleep at night. Anyway, I am not that brave. Yes, do as I said, not as I do in this case.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk to him about that after. Anyway, Crystal, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you again.
It has been great having you on, and I wish you all of the success with your book and your future writings, because I'm sure there'll be much more to come after.
Given this, and the unique format and presentation and subject matter and style and everything and style. I'm just like, I want to see the next follow-up. Just that part of my brain is like, I just want to know what the follow-up would be.
Absolutely.
The sequel.
Trinidad and Tobago, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. This has been Breakthrough right here on WESN Content Capital. Mark Anthony, Peter, Sean, Michael Small. Have a good week. Bye-bye.
WESN